Well, welcome, Kristin. Thank you for joining me for this YouTube series on self-publishing. I do have your official bio below the video, but if you wouldn't mind just telling us a bit about yourself in your own words, I would love that.
Okay. My name is Kristin Emily Friend, and I'm 63 years old, so I'm kind of late to the publishing world, the writing world, and have taken my time trying to figure out whether it's a hobby or publishing. But I'm real excited to say that I've done it. I've published. I live in Jacksonville, Florida with my husband. We don't have any children, but we've got lots of nieces and nephews. And so I just kind of fell into writing children's books for them. I write on a number of different things, travel, ponderings for faith and life, and ice cream. My husband and I are ice cream addicts, and so we like to make. I say that we live here in Jacksonville with our twin ice cream makers on the countertop. So
I love it. That's great. Awesome. So I can see it. Hopefully our viewers can see it as well, but I can see your book sort of peeking over your shoulder there. Why don't you tell us what the title of your book is and when you published it?
okay, it's called There's Only One You with Aunt Kitten, and I just published it January 22nd of this year. So it's just been out a couple of months. So I'm the author and the illustrator. So behind me is where the magic happens.
Great. That's awesome. So what led you to decide to self-publish the book?
Well, I'm in an online membership group, and so just heard a lot of pros, the differences between the two, and ended up taking a class with Sarah Ward. They call it a guided hope circle with Sarah Ward, and she just went through each step very clearly, and I thought, I can do that. I think, it seemed doable. And also, of course, she talked about the advantages, which is you retain your rights, which means that, like, I wrote this one and I want to write another one. Had I written this one with a traditional publisher, I would have to ask, it's my understanding, I would have to ask permission to do the next one. And so I just, and of course, your royalties are more if you can sell, if you can sell enough, your royalties per book are more. So I just decided I would try it and see what happened, and I'm glad I did.
Good. I'm glad you did. So what parts of this self-publishing process did you enjoy the most?
Oh, I think just learning, having a reason to learn more things. Some of the things I would have learned anyways, but just that that realization that until you try it, you don't know what you don't know. And so just that, learning, trying and failing, quote unquote, failing and learning from that and trying again. And so it just was such a sense of accomplishment. It's a huge goal to accomplish. And I was, since I'm self-publishing, I could take my time. So I've worked on this one for a year and a half, not quite 2 years. I had written another one that's on this side of me for my family and got real good feedback. And people were like, well, where can I buy one? But it was written specifically for those children. And so it really wouldn't make sense to a general audience. So that's when, so I had the foundation already. But then once I decided to make it for a general audience, I spent another year and a half getting it out.
Amazing. Yeah.
So just the self-confidence of knowing, oh my gosh, I can do hard things.
Yeah.
Even at 63, I can do hard things.
That's so great. Yeah, I love that you've enjoyed that process of learning, right? It makes the actual journey of self-publishing that much more enjoyable rather than just the accomplishment of having the published book. But when you can actually take pride in the whole the whole journey along the way, it does sure make it more enjoyable.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
So I just assume in any self-publishing journey that there are some challenges in the process. So can you just maybe tell us if there were some challenges that you faced in this process and how you overcame them?
Sure. One with doing a rhyming picture book was finding an editor who would do rhyme. A lot of people will do children's books, but then you read the fine print and they're like, but not if it's rhyming because that's poetry. And I was like, I never really thought about that, but it's true. It is poetry. So that was a little challenging. And also just the motivation to keep going was challenging, especially once I got to where I was ready to publish, but it was just so much easier to sit down and keep writing than to take that step into the unknown and just start learning something that I didn't know. I mean, I had a lot of background. I've taken a class, webinar where you taught too. You and a number, Sarah Ward was on there as well. And just, I had the background, but just that doing it was scary. So I talked to a writing coach that I have been in contact with, and she just encouraged me, and then just giving myself permission to fail. And for me, I'm not dependent on the money that I'm making. I would like to make money, but I'm not dependent on that. And I was getting very overwhelmed with all the marketing that I needed to do. And so I just gave myself permission to not do all the marketing things. I was just going to focus on that at the time. And so I haven't sold a ton because I'm doing my marketing a little bit at a time.
Yeah,
But it keeps me from being overwhelmed and enjoy the process. Because otherwise I knew that I wouldn't, if I had to get a launch team and all those other things, that it would no longer be enjoyable. So
that's great. That's a great insight, just knowledge and self-awareness that you had. And one thing that I talk about a lot is, our, self-publishing, we're kind of in it for the long haul, right? We're not going for the big splashy launch to get on some, bestsellers list, right? We're slowly building, just keep working away in that marketing because it will build and grow in the long run. And we have the opportunity to do that, right? And I think, to be able to enjoy the process and have that longevity, it has to be sustainable. And
right.
I think for you, knowing that about yourself is super important. And I hope encourages other people who find that marketing piece overwhelming.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
Good.
I'm glad that I kept going and didn't just, because nobody cared. I mean, I could have just said, I'm done and I don't publish at all. Nobody would have cared. But I'm glad that for my sake that I was able to do it my way, which really holds true to the message of the book as well, because Aunt Kitten's refrain is, we're all unique. God made each of us new. I'm glad you're here because there's only one you. And I thought, yes, the things I've learned are great. I agree with it, but the way God made me, it just wasn't going to work that way. So I felt like that not only did I stay true to me, I stayed true to the message of my book.
Amazing. That's so good. So, you've talked about having that freedom and that ability to take things at your own pace and do things your way. I'm curious, what parts of this process did you do yourself? And is there anything that you hired out and had support with?
I did most of it myself, just, learning. I had lots of help from people like you and Sarah and, lots of people. I had lots of people peer review for me. So I used them as my editors. There were other writers. Um, but I did at the end find someone to edit. So they did some copy edit and then mainly copy edit and the proofing. So and the person that I found was a young lady who is in college. And so it wasn't, because I hadn't made for a budget. I kind of thought, oh, well, all you have to do is, write a book and put it on Amazon. There's, and then as I got into it, it's like, oh, wait, you really should spend some money on it. But if I'm not going to push for the marketing, I don't want to spend more money than I make. So anyways, she learned, she got experience. She can put that on her resume now, and she got a little bit of money out of it. And I got the benefit of having her feedback. So I ended up spending just under $200 probably on editing.
Amazing. That's, yeah, hopefully gives
Which
some
is
people options, right, to look
Mhm.
for in, whether they're people in their own circle or, network contacts or however you find that person, but to know that there's some lower budget options there and you can get creative with it for sure. It's good.
Right.
So is there anything you would change about your self-publishing journey?
I think, to be very honest, to have decided that that it wasn't just a hobby. I think that I wasn't, until the very end, I wasn't really sure, but then I needed to spend money, and I really did. I felt like I mean, clearly I don't have to, but I've read a lot of children's books where people didn't hire editors, and it's like, okay, that's nice, but I'm not going to buy it to give to, for baby showers or whatever. Um, and so to have a quality product, I knew that I needed to spend some money. So to be upfront with my husband about that, and to, decide on a budget up front. This is how much money we're willing to put into the pot, uh, whether we get it back or not. And then I think that I would really like to, I'm glad that I hired those editors, and would definitely do that again. There's parts of me that are not sure about the interior design and the uh, cover design. And so I wish I would have run that past somebody. Um, hopefully it's fine, but, and I had I had an editor tell me that she thought it was fine, but still, just to have that knowledge. Because I know in your class, you've said, really the cover is everything, that, and not everything, but if you don't have a good cover, nobody's going to pick it up. And so they're not even going to give you a chance at it. So I think those are some things that I would do. I would possibly hire somebody if I had the money to do the keywords, the some of that marketing foundational stuff that needs to be done with Amazon that was starting to get overwhelming, because I still don't really understand all the ins and outs of, what makes for good keywords. So it just, it depends on how much money I have in the pot as to what I would
Yep.
do. But it would be nice to have a little bit so that I could, instead of going and saying, oh, I need an editor, it's, to say, for me to say, okay, I've got this much in a pot. And so how am I going to budget out?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And knowing you've already done it once helps, because hopefully you can start to build some of that, income from royalties to be able to go
Mhm.
into, this pot, and that can help you, with your next book. And then maybe because
Right.
you've invested that money, it'll help, that one sell more, which will help the first one sell more. So there's like this, accumulation of things. And
Yeah.
especially self-published authors, if you can publish more than one book, it helps you to have more books. And
Mhm.
yeah, I hope that's, the case for you. And I hope that you get to continue this journey of self-publishing as well.
Thank you. Yes, I'm thinking of the next one. Um, K, KDP won't print hardback unless it's like 78 pages, I think. And so that has inspired me to write another one and to be able to put the two of them together, or if that's not enough, to write a third one, put all them together, and then I can publish hardback off of KDP. I've not done Ingram Spark, just because the royalties were like next to nothing. At one scenario, I would be paying brick and mortar 50 cents a book to sell my book, and I was like, no, not now. We'll got to see how it's going to do, which was sad, because in my heart, I'd always thought it was going to be a hardback book, but just financially, it just didn't make sense. And I'm happy with it the way it is.
Yeah, that's good. I love that idea of, being able to put them together into a hardback edition. I love that. And, even just for, viewers who are new to self-publishing or considering it, that difference in royalties between KDP and Ingram Spark is a big reason. Like KDP is where we publish the most. And even for the clients that we work with, we say Ingram Spark is great if you want that extra, distribution, but you'll sell less copies there and make less money. So you just kind of have to know it's like kind of an add-on, right? Whereas, KDP, selling your book through Amazon, that's going to be where you sell the most and make the most per copy. So hopefully, KDP has already, the fact that they're offering hardcover now, and they're changing trim sizes and doing some other things. And I think that's going to keep growing and changing as well. So I have nothing but good things to say about KDP, but there's definitely some things where I can't wait for them to just expand a little bit more, just for us self-published authors. But yeah. So, you've kind of talked about this a bit throughout the whole interview, but what do you see as the major benefits that you've experienced by self-publishing?
I think, like I said, the self-confidence, the having, finished it, the being able to consider writing my next book without having to ask for permission. And just knowing that I did it. I mean, it's a huge, I think about the big goals that I've had before. I went to college. I have a college degree, but my parents expected that of me. I've settled my father's estate, which was hard, but it was the right thing to do, because I'm the oldest daughter. So this was something that nobody cared about except for me. And so it just feels so amazing to say, I did it because of me, just for me, for kids too. I mean, I want to get that message out that, that kids are unique, and however you are worthy, and you're lovable, and you're special, and you're needed in society, in the world, just the way you are. So I guess too, with that, just kind of affirming my own self through my own book has been fun. But that would happen probably whether it was self-published or not. But and the timeline, I think too, just the not, if I needed to stop because we got COVID or whatever, it's not like, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to catch up?
Yeah, that's amazing. What you shared about, those other big, hard things you've achieved, and this is really for you. You're actually the second interview I've done so far who's basically said the exact same thing, like almost the exact same words. It's actually so heartwarming to me to hear just that experience. I think the sense of accomplishment that you get from being able to publish the book and get to see it, and you've done this work, and it's not somebody else's goal for you or something that you're kind of obligated to do, whether you want to or not. But this is just for you, and a desire that you have and you got to see fulfilled is just extraordinary, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. And it's amazing that we have KDP to be able to do that. So the resources, and so many people like you. If I had a budget, I would probably consider hiring you, because I know that you've got a good name out there. I've heard about you a lot. But it was something that I could do without spending much money.
Yeah.
Now, would I have a better product if I had spent money? Probably so. But I could still be happy that I did it.
And start somewhere, right? It's way better
Right.
to be able to just do it and get it out there and build
Right.
on that than waiting and waiting or just never doing it at all, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So last question here for you, Kristin. What would you say to someone who is considering self-publishing?
Hmm. Take classes, whether you take webinars, free webinars or whatever, but just, learn, kind of have an idea of what you're getting yourself into, and where you can find the resources. Don't skip on editing. I mean, plan to spend at least some money, especially I think on editing. And don't publish too soon. Wait until you are to the bone, ready to publish, to know that you are you will be proud to have your name on the front of this book. And to know it does take a long time. It just takes time, but the more you work on it, the better it gets. And so, I mean, I finally had to be like, oh yeah, I could probably make this better, but I finally had that sense that, yeah, it could be better, but it's good. I am proud. I will be proud to put my name on this book.
Yeah.
Because you only get one shot at it. If you do it real fast and it's not a good quality, then nobody's going to buy your second book. So.
Well, thank you, Kristin. That was really encouraging and insightful. And I hope that our viewers take a lot away from this interview today. So thank you just so much for joining me and sharing your self-publishing story with me.
Yes, thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed talking with you.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you all for joining us for this How I Self-Publish series. Take care, everyone.